We'll start off this morning with Florida A&M University head coach Willie Simmons. Coach Simmons and the Rattlers defeated Savannah State this past weekend and will head to Durham, North Carolina to face the Eagles of North Carolina Central this Saturday. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Hey, good morning.
Coach, recap last week's game against Savannah State, as it was a tale of two halves for both teams.
Yes, it was. It was a great conference opener for us as a football team. Great to start the conference 1-0. Savannah came in and played a real hard-fought football game. I tip my hat to Coach Raeburn and the job he's done there. And I've been hearing for years how physical the Meac play is, and we saw firsthand how physical the play is in this conference. And so, the first half it was a defensive battle. They were able to put early points on the board because of a turnover by the offense, I think on the first drive of the game. But defense did a really good job of keeping them out of the end zone after that. And special teams was the difference. We averaged almost 50 yards punting the football, which flipped the field for us a bunch of times. We were able to get our hands on a couple of their punts to cause a short field and again, keep us in favorable field position. So I thought that was the tale of the first half. And then in the second half, we were able to take advantage of some things and hit a couple of plays. Bishop Bonnet had a real great game for us, running the ball as well as catching the ball. Had a 59 or 65-yard touchdown reception to give us our first touchdown. And after that, kind of sparked the momentum for us, and we were able to put some more points on the board to come away with a 31-13 victory. So hard-fought game for the guys. Again, they did a great job of staying poised in the face of adversity, being down at halftime. And, again, it was a great way to start this conference play for us. And hopefully we can build upon that momentum as we know we face a tough North Carolina Central team having to go up to Durham.
And he almost took my next question because I wanted to ask you about your special teams. 3 block kicks, and you have a punter that's averaging nearly 50 yards a punt 4 games into the season. Just talk about the state of your special teams.
Well, that was one of the big emphases that we placed on the team when we got here, is that we want to, kind of position ourselves the way that, Virginia Tech did back in the late 90s, early 2000s, was that, when people play us, that they know that there's a chance for us to do big things in the kicking game. And we invest a lot of time into it. We meet on it every day. We practice it every day. And we tell those guys that they can be the difference in the ball game. And looking at us this season with 2-2, the 2 games that we've won, we've dominated special teams with block kicks and great field position. The 2 games we've lost the special teams battle. As far as missing field goals and missing opportunities and with penalties and things of that nature. So we can be sound in the kicking game, and we have good players on those units, players who can make game-changing type plays. A punter who can, like you say, can punt the ball 50-plus yards. A place kicker who can hit it from about 50 yards to the end. So it gives us a chance to really be dynamic in all 3 phases. And so hopefully we can continue that because, again, I do think that'll be a difference for us as the season progresses.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. You will hear a 3-tone prompt to acknowledge your request. If your question has been answered and you would like to withdraw your registration, please press the 1 followed by the 3. One moment, please, for the first question. Our first question comes from the line of Ty Miller from Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach Simmons. How are you?
Hey, Ty, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, Coach. 2 for 9 on 3rd downs. Is that something that concerns you at this point?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is the distance, not so much our conversion percentage. It's the type of 3rd downs that we're having. When we're 3rd and medium to short, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. But when we're 3rd and long or extra long, the percentage is not as high, and I think that's pretty consistent across the country. So it's about winning 1st downs for us. We talk about 3rd downs. We practice 3rd down situations throughout the week. But the biggest thing is you don't want to put yourself in unfavorable positions, and that's what we've done. With the amount of penalties that we've gotten, we're starting a lot of drives 1st and 20, 1st and 15, and those are hard to overcome. And so for us, I think the key to getting better on 3rd downs is actually getting better on 1st down.
Coach, you mentioned those penalties, 12 in the game. So, how can you get that better in terms of what kind of penalties are they, and how could that be rectified?
Well, it's just fundamental football, and we talk about it as a staff and as a team. I mean, penalties and turnovers are a lack of fundamentals, and so we have to do a better job as coaches of stressing the fundamentals every day in all that we do, our alignment, our assignment, our communication, and then as players, they have to take the initiative to really hone in on that when we practice it, to be able to develop the habits that they'll need to perform in the game on Saturday. I think that we get into the game sometimes and, take certain things for granted, such as the snap count. We've had a few false starts on offense. We had a couple of offside penalties on defense. And that's a lack of discipline. That's nothing the defense is doing or the offense is doing on the other side. They're all self-inflicted wounds. Holding calls a lot of times. Yeah, you're trying to block a guy in space that may be more athletic than you, that may be a little bit bigger, faster, and stronger, but you have to use good technique. You have to move your feet. You have to keep your hands inside. And so it's those type of penalties that are really hurting us, like I said, on first downs, or on third downs. Defensively, we had a couple of offside penalties that may have extended drives for them. So we just have to do a better job of emphasizing the little things that are important. And if we can do that, I think we can cut down on the penalties and really give ourselves a chance to be as productive as we need to be in all three phases.
Coach, you mentioned in your comments up top about Bishop Bonnet. Can you tell us some more about him and what makes him the guy for your offense in terms of running back?
Well, Bishop's a guy that walked on the FAMU. He's a small guy, probably 5'7", 155, 60 pounds. But Bishop is pound for pound probably the strongest guy on the team. He squats over 500 pounds, bench presses over 300 pounds. I mean, he's a guy that really, really works hard in the weight room, works hard on the practice field. I mean, he plays on all special teams. I mean, he scored a 65-yard touchdown run and turned around and ran down and made the tackle on kickoff. He blocked one of the 3 punts that we had blocked the other night. So he's just a what they will call, those who guys call a football player. He loves the game. He has a little daughter, so he has a drive to be the best that he can be for his little daughter. And, again, he's a guy that really embodies everything that we talk about here at Florida A&M about sacrificing, about working extremely hard, doing the little things right. And I couldn't be prouder of him because right now he's the pulse of our football team.
And, Coach, taking on North Carolina Central this week, they just came off the game against Duke, but one of the things about that game is, they saw a different type of speed. So is your team ready to match the speed that you'll see from them this weekend?
Well, again, we played an FBS opponent, we played a Division II opponent, and we played 2 FCS opponents. So we think we've seen teams that are faster than us, and we've seen teams that are slower than us. So, for us, it's about taking care of what we can control, and that's how we prepare. That's our mindset going through the week. That's our attention to detail with our preparation. And that's being focused, taking a long bus ride up to North Carolina and being able to put everything together that we need to, at 4 o'clock p.m. to give ourselves the best chance to be successful.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Melvin Beal with Inside Sports. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Melvin.
Coach, where would you assess the players as far as your schemes, offensively and defensively? Are they picking them up pretty good right now? Where would you assess the team's familiarity with your schemes that you're employing?
I think the guys are pretty familiar with what we're trying to do in all 3 phases. Missed assignments aren't really our biggest issue right now. It's lack of fundamentals, like I just alluded to. It's the penalties. It's the missed tackles, it's the miscommunication, in offense, defense, and special teams. So it's not that they don't know what to do. They're not failing tests that we give them throughout the week. We give them our test on Saturday mornings. They're not failing those tests. It's just that when they get in the game, we're not doing the little things. Again, that goes back to habits and fundamentals. So, that's our biggest emphasis right now, trying to hone back in on those things. The offensive defensive schemes are in. We're not adding anything else. So it's really just about getting back to the basics and doing those little things right. And I think the guys will respond to that, and hopefully we'll be able to play with great fundamentals on Saturday and not beat ourselves.
How would you assess the offensive and defensive line, their performance up to this point?
I really think the defensive line has done a pretty good job. I hadn't seen the stats lately, but I think we're near the top of the league in tackles for loss and sacks, which is a direct result of those guys and the amount of pressure that they can put on the quarterback. So again, I think they're playing at a high level. Offensively, not so much. We've struggled at times running the football. We struggled at times protecting the quarterback, and so we need more consistency from those guys. Again, breaking a lot of bad habits. And so Coach Jackson, offensive line coach, works extremely hard during the week, stressing those little things. But it comes to a point where the players have to really buy into it. They have to believe in the new techniques that they're being taught, the new schemes that we're employing on that side of the ball. And when they really do that, because we have a group that's talented, I think they'll see their production increase.
Thanks, Coach, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Mike Prince with Open Mic Broadcast Network. Please proceed.
Coach, how you doing this morning, sir?
Hey, good morning, Mike.
All right, look, I heard you talk about the explosiveness of your back, Bishop, and it seems like there's a phenomenon going on right now as far as undersized backs. Is that attributed to the type of the spread schemes that are going on, that these guys are able to hide behind the big guys up front? What would you attribute this phenomenon of small backs making big impact in the game of collegiate football?
Well, I think two of the guys you're alluding to, one is our guy, Bishop Bonnet, and the other one is obviously Dwayne Tucker, who's over at Prairie View, who's leading the nation in rushing. And I think that's attributed to those two guys. They're both phenomenal football players. They're both guys who have gone their whole lives with chips on their shoulders about being undersized guys, being told that they're not good enough or not big enough. Bishop walked on to FAMU. Dwayne Tucker came in as a partial scholarship kid at Prairie View. And but they've both done a really great job of developing their bodies in the weight room. They're both probably 10 to 15 pounds heavier than when they arrived, and they play with great passion. They run the ball extremely hard. They're hard to tackle. They're both elusive in the open field, and the schemes help. They're both playing in spread offenses where it's designed to get one-on-one matchups where a safety has to make a tackle in the phone booth, and those guys are very hard to tackle in the open field. And so I think scheme has a little bit to do with it, but I think their work ethic, their attitude, and that chip on their shoulders that they have to be the best player on the field is really what's attributing to their success this year.
All right, Coach, you also spoke a lot about the communication factor and how important it is on and off the field. And it's obvious that there have been some, clock management concerns of late. Are there certain scenarios that are discussed and worked out? I know during the practice session, but how does that unfold during the actual gameplay on the sidelines?
Well, the issue with the clock management was solved when we got new headsets last week. So a lot of that was attributed to me down on the field not being able to hear the coaches in the press box, give me situations about time and things of that nature. So thankfully for us, our alumni chapter and booster club came up, where they would give us new headsets. So a lot of the communication and the things that go on game day are addressed from the press box down to the field. And now that we can have that smooth flow of communication, I think we as coaches can give ourselves a better chance to adjust to the different situations in the game so we can put our players in the best positions possible.
Okay, and finally, Coach, as you prepare for the Eagles this week, and you're still somewhat in your proving stage, if you would, I guess, with Raeburn Nation, what are going to be some of the keys for you guys to get past the Eagles on this week?
Well, we got to play smart football. We can't have penalties, the silly penalties that have kind of been out of Keely's heels the last few weeks. We got to protect the football. We've turned it over a few times uncharacteristically, and then biggest thing is always we got to tackle on defense. We got to stop the run. We got to be able to find a way to run the football on offense, and special teams has to be the difference. That's always our recipe for success. Run the ball on offense, stop the run on defense, and be different in special teams. If we can do those three things, and cut down on the penalties and eliminate the turnovers, I think we give ourselves a chance to go up there and steal one away from Central.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot, and good luck to you this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
There are no further questions at this time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach. We'll talk with Florida A&M will travel to Durham, North Carolina to face off against the Eagles of North Carolina Central. Kickoff is scheduled for 4 p.m., and it will be streamed live on ESPN3. We're now joined by Bethune-Cookman University head coach Terry Simmons. The Wildcats fell to Howard in their Meac opener and will head to Savannah State for a 6 p.m. matchup on Saturday. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning, Ryan. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Talk about last week's game in Indianapolis as it came down pretty much at the end to a pair of turnovers.
Well, I think, you can say it came down to we had 2 fumbles inside the 4-yard line. We had an interception return for a touchdown. And I don't think you can play anyone and have those kind of turnovers and be successful. We just have to, cut back on those turnovers, I think, and have our D-line play a little bit more solid for us. And I think, we have a better outcome in this football game.
And just talk about putting last week's game behind you and focusing on this week's opponent in Savannah State.
Well, we had to. You can't allow one loss to beat you twice. You can't let it linger on and stay with your team. We came in on Sunday. We watched the film with the guys. We made our corrections. And we moved on. We can't, keep our focus on Howard. That game's over. The game's over. Coach London and his staff did a great job. They won the football game. We had to turn our attention to Savannah State on Sunday night, and that's exactly where we are now.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone keypad. We have a question from Roscoe Nance from Mid-Eastern Atlantic Conference. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. I wanted to talk to you about Kevius Williams, your quarterback, and how he's developed. Is he where you expected him to be at this point in his career after he's a first-year starter for you? First-year full-time starter.
Right. I think he's close. It's obvious he still has a few things to work on and clean up, but he's, I think, a lot further along than he was last year. He was really in a backup role last year. I think he put in the time this year to kind of work on the things that he needs to work on, which was him staying in the pocket a little bit more and delivering the football, and he has done that. He still has a few things that we have to clean up. He tried to force a pass on Saturday, and it was tipped, and they ended up, intercepting it and taking it back for a touchdown. And in the last drive of the football game, he threw across his body, and that, that's something that we never want him to do. But it's just, a kid trying to make plays. But to answer your question in total, I think he's close to where we thought he would be at this point in the season, and I think he'll only get better as the weeks go on.
Well, what is his greatest asset, his strength as a quarterback?
I think he has a couple. And, one, his leadership. And he leads our offense, and a lot of it he leads by example, because he's going to be that guy out, throwing and getting himself ready before practice, and he's out with receivers after practice. He'll have the receivers and running backs out, and, they're continuing to strengthen their bond. So I think his biggest asset is his leadership, because the kid can make plays with his arm and his leg. So I think we have a special one in him in that, but his leadership would definitely be his strongest asset right now.
Well, how different is it, being the backup and splitting time, and then being the starter, being the guy?
I think, honestly, his role as a backup last year, if you back up, you have to always be prepared, and you never know when you're going in. If you're the starter, you're starting, and you know how you have to prepare. So I think him being a backup prepared him for this role now, because he hasn't changed, a lot of the way he prepares. He works his butt off every day, and I think now he has to just hone in on some of the little things. And Coach Suber and our offensive staff, they're working with him daily to make sure he gets that.
Well, what area have you seen the most progress from last year to this year?
The most progress for him, as I said earlier, just trusting his reads and staying in the pocket and delivering the ball. Last year, Keevis' first mindset would be if he felt any pressure to take off and run. And that's a young quarterback. Now he doesn't do that. You watch him now on film, and he's even taking a couple of hits by just staying in there delivering the football. So I think that's where he has definitely improved the most.
Okay, Coach. Thanks so much.
Next question comes from the line of Ty Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed. Ty Miller, your line is open. Please proceed with your question.
Coach, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. You just talked about your quarterback. This week you're facing a team that uses a two-quarterback system. What are your thoughts on T.J. Bell and Devon Gibbons for Savannah State, and are there any big differences between those two quarterbacks in your film study?
Well, watching both of those guys on film, they're definitely both very talented. When you look at both of those young guys, they're talented. I don't think that you can say one is more talented than the other. Devon is a guy. I think he wants to kind of run the ball more when you watch him, and they try and keep T.J. Bell in the pocket a little bit more. He definitely can run. There's nothing wrong with his legs. He makes plays with his legs. But I think T.J. and I think he played the majority of the snaps in their last football game. He's the guy that'll sit in and deliver the ball a little bit more. We have to prepare for both of those guys running the football, and definitely make sure that we stay in coverage when they're in the game, because they have taken some deep shots. They've hit a few early on in games. So I think that they're both talented. I don't know if there's a glaring difference between them. Aside from one being a lefty and the other one being a right-handed quarterback, I don't know if it's really a lot more that's different between.
So certainly any team is dangerous, as witnessed by what happened last week with Morgan State and North Carolina A&T. So you're taking on an 0-3 team. Give us your thoughts on how dangerous that is with any team that's looking for a win.
Well, we're looking for a win too. So we're not even going to approach going in and playing an 0-3 team. We've been there, and honestly, we can't take Savannah State like that. I mean, 2 years ago they beat at their place. So we're definitely not going to go in and not respect our opponents. That's always going to be something that this football team is going to do. So it's always dangerous playing someone that's looking for a win. But I think this football team is looking for a win. We dropped a tough game on Saturday, and I think a lot of it had to do with us not taking anything away from Pough, because those guys were prepared. And Coach London always has his teams prepared, and they took advantage of some mistakes that we made, and they won the football game. So we're not going to go in and think you're playing an 0-3 football team and you got to prepare differently. You don't have to prepare as much. We're not even concerned about their record. We're watching them on film, and we're preparing for what we see on film.
And finally, Coach, you talked about the mistakes. That's got to be a key thing that you concentrate on in preparation this week in terms of limiting the mistakes that your team makes, right?
Oh, no question. And we actually started that Sunday. We couldn't wait on that. We had to start on that. And when you look at the two fumbles inside the 4-yard line, those were crucial fumbles. But when you watch them on film, they're effort plays. Both guys were just trying to get an extra yard. Pough, when he fumbled, he had, both arms and both hands wrapped around the football. They hit it just in the right spot. I mean, it was just one of those things that happened, and we lost that ball. Just got to remind those guys about, understanding when it's time to go down and knowing that guys are stripping at the ball at all times. And I did the same thing. He was trying to back up into the end zone and score. He got the ball knocked out. So we definitely are working on those things and reminding those guys of the little things that we have to do to minimize and eliminate those mistakes that we had on Saturday.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
There are no further questions at this time.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck as you head down to Savannah State this weekend.
Thank you,
Bethune-Cookman will travel to Savannah, Georgia, as they'll face Savannah State on Saturday. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m. as the contest will be shown live on ESPN3. We are now joined by first-year Delaware State University head coach Rod Milstead. The Hornets were off this past weekend and will head down to Norfolk State on Saturday. Coach, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Ryan. How are you?
I'm great, Coach. Talk about this past weekend, and how did you take advantage of the open week on your schedule?
Well, Ryan, when I first saw the schedule, I was a little dismayed. I felt that our open week came a little bit early, and then as I sat back and analyzed the whole thing, we had 4 weeks of training camp, and then we had our bye on the 4th week into the season, so that's 8, and then we got 8 more games to go. So it came at a perfect time, and that's the way we set ourselves up this week. We had a chance to go back and reflect on the first 3 games, get back to fundamentals, working on our mistakes. Really had a great week of practice. Got some time off to rest some of our guys that are a little banged up and banged up a little bit, and we're going to be prepared to play come Saturday. Had a good practice yesterday, and so I think the guys are getting themselves ready for Norfolk State.
And speaking of Norfolk State, what stands out about them when you look at them on film?
Well, Coach, they're putting up points. They got 2 wins right now, and they've done some good things on film. We got to be ready to play a perfect football game. We want something that they have. We want to win, and they have a couple of them right now, and they've been in all 3 games that they've played in, and so this is not the same Norfolk State team of old. This is a Norfolk State team that's pretty darn good on film, and they do a lot of good things offensively. They have a good quarterback that has a couple of receivers that can hurt you deep, and we got to be prepared to stop that. On the defensive side, they're big up front. They're big. They have a big nose tackle, and they do some things schematically defensively that appear to pose some challenges, and we got to be ready. We got to be able to be ready to pick up the schemes that they're doing and have something to match that so we can get in the end zone.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from Time Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Coach Milstead, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. You mentioned their quarterback had a play, so can you tell us more your thoughts about Juwan Carter?
Juwan Carter can beat you with his feet, and he can beat you with his arm. He's a special breed back there, and we got to make sure that we contain him. If not, if we give him time, and he has time, he can pick you apart and really punish you with his arm. And you put too much pressure on him, he has a good set of wheels as well. He can get out of situations and beat you with his feet. So our biggest thing is trying to corral him and control him and try to get some hits on him early. to get him a little gunshot, to try to take away one facet of his game. But they have a very good weapon back there that can hurt you.
Coach, you mentioned in your comments that it's not the same Norfolk State team. So seeing them go into South Carolina State and beat Buddy Pugh's team by 10 points, did that raise your awareness further?
It does. It does. They're playing well. I mean, you can't take anything from the film. Don't lie. So they're playing well. They're doing a lot of good things offensively, and they're putting points on the board. Defensively, they just create so many headaches for you. They do some things you look at it and say, man, that's unsound. But it may be it may be fundamentally unsound at times, but it works for them. And so we have to be prepared for that. And, this is the Meac schedule from this point on. Like I said last week, the preseason's over. It's Meac ball from this point on. So every game is crucial, and every game has a specific meaning. And this is a big one for our program.
And finally, Coach, what will be the key to your team winning the line of scrimmage on both sides?
Well, the biggest thing is that, we've been able to move the ball. The first two games, we were able to move the ball on some pretty decent opponents. We fell short against the University of Western Michigan. But we got to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. We got to be able to run our football. That's our game. We're going to run the football, and then work over the top. When you put 8, 9, 10 in the box, we're going to work over the top and try to beat you downfield as well. So that's been an emphasis on us in this bye week, is to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Do some things schematically that's going to give them some challenges. So, like I said, it's a big week for us, and we are up to the challenge.
Thank you, Coach.
No further questions at this time.
Coach, thanks again for speaking with us, and we'll talk with you this time next week.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome. Delaware State will head to Norfolk State this weekend for a 4 p.m. kickoff. The contest will be shown live on ESPN3. We're now joined by second-year Howard University head coach Mike London. The Bison defeated Bethune-Cookman to open up Meac play this weekend, last weekend, and we'll have an open weekend coming up. Coach, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning to you as well.
Coach, last week's game was a back-and-forth contest which came down to the wire in the fourth quarter. Just talk about your team's perseverance to pick up that important conference win.
Yes. I mean, again, Terry Simmons, Bethune-Cookman, they're a very good football team, and the second year in a row that the game's gone down to the last few minutes. I'd like to give an appreciation and say thank you to the Circle City Classic personnel up there in Indianapolis. Did a great job at hosting the event, and some of the things that we did, some of the things that were done for the fans, and the activities that they had were outstanding. And so felt really honored and privileged to be a part of that. Had a chance to do a community service event on that Thursday when we got up there, and it was just it was unbelievable. The game in itself, was kind of we were scoring on a long drives and extended drives, and they were quick scores. So we get the ball and we'd score. We 7, 8, 10 play drive, and then they'd run a kickoff and turn back, or we'd throw an interception in the red zone and they'd score. So it was a good game. I thought our defense played well, considering the fact that we got 4 turnovers. We talked about it last week about we were giving the ball away 4 times the first 2 games, and this time we got 4 turnovers. One was an interception for score. Caused 2 goal line stands, down there in the 3-4 yard line, and one right at the goal line, that we were able to cause fumbles and recover those fumbles. So, a lot of things happen from a positive standpoint, and just always a play or 2 away from, they execute and they score. And we're not talking about us being victorious today, but we executed. Players played hard, as you said, very resilient. Made plays at the end there. At the end with an interception by Ty Freeland. And like I said, I can't say enough about the goal line stops down there. That was critical. The players that played in the game. Isaiah Cruz was a true freshman running back. Led our team in rushing. Iggy Reynoso did a great job as well. I mean, he was a culprit for that last fumble in the end there. We hang on to the but, they got the ball out. Then Jalen Smith, a true freshman, that got the interception and scored on defense for us. So Jermichael Jones is another true freshman that was our kickoff returner. Their kickoff returner obviously did a fantastic job. But was lost was the fact that Jalen, a true freshman, had over 100 yards himself in his return. So, there's a lot of things we still have to work on. Obviously as the season's going on, we have an open week, and definitely will dedicate our open week to special teams play, getting guys healthy and getting them back. But again, it's great to be on the winning side, on the winning ledger. If you look at college football during this Saturday, you saw some amazing upsets, some big wins, disappointing losses, and it's hard to win football games. So we were very fortunate to come out of Indianapolis with a win, and looking forward to moving on.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from the line of Lute Williams with Black College Sports Page. Please proceed.
Congratulations on the win, Coach Landon. I want to talk about your receiving core just for a minute. Could you talk about Kyle Anthony and Ezra and how they make the go-go offense so explosive?
Yeah, thanks, Luke. I appreciate it. Two young men that I talk about watching film, dedicated to take care of their bodies, would really want to win. So those are two guys right there that are the epitome of guys that that want to do everything it takes to be successful. Kyle is more of a size guy. He can go up and get it. Throw the ball around and he can do it. And then, as we saw, Jaquez Ezra made an unbelievable catch. I think it was like ESPN #1 catch of the day. He makes catches like that in practice, and I don't know where he is right now statistically, but last year he was one of the nation's tops in yards per catch. So when you have two guys like that, and you're trying to run an offense that that deals with RPOs, run play action, and you have a quarterback like Kalen that can pull the ball down and run, and we have receivers like that, then they stack the box and have a chance to either go one-on-one or just throw it up in their vicinity. So they've done a really good job of being leaders for our team, explosive playmakers, and we just need to keep continuing developing that number 3, 4, perhaps even that 5th wide receiver for us.
And I was going to ask you about that. So just Anthony's number 1 in the conference in receptions per game with 6.3. Ezra the second at 5.3, and they're reversed in the conference in receiving yards per game. Ezra is first at 124 a game, 23 yards per catch, and Anthony is second with 68 yards per game. So it's almost like you two guys on your basketball team at Howard. They're 1-2. But I did want to ask about some of those other guys. I know you had a converted quarterback that was also in the receiving core, and then you had some other guys step up on Saturday.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. And those two guys are the kind of guys that don't want to come out of the game, and they'll play till they drop. So sometimes you have to be cognizant of that. David Gillespie is another player that that played last year, has played some this year. We use some of our running backs. We put them out there in the slot. Khalid Dorsey. It's a group of guys that are younger players that are finding their role, their niche, whether a slot receiver or backside X or C receiver. And when we do throw the ball, like I said, a lot of it is from the RPO approach. And when they have opportunities to catch the ball, it might be 1 or 2 catches. Just the way the way the offense runs, particularly when you have 2 dynamic players in the game like Kyle and Ezra. So, we probably like to run the ball more if we could, but teams are putting a safety down in the box and requires us to do other things. So we'll do whatever it takes to move the ball. So we're like I said, we're off this week, and again, it gives us a chance to even develop those younger players. The opportunities to get more reps and go down the stretch of all of our conference games as we approach this. be that maybe there's a guy that may play here in the future for us, but we'll find out as we go into this open week.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Enjoy your week off.
Thank you, too.
There are no further questions at this time.
Coach, enjoy your week off once again, and we will look forward to speaking with you this time next week.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Our university is off this weekend and returns to action on October 6th as they will face North Carolina Central. We're now joined by Norfolk State University head coach Latrell Scott. The Spartans defeated South Carolina State this past Saturday and will officially open Meac play with the home matchup versus Delaware State on Saturday afternoon. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good, Ron. How about yourself?
I'm good, Coach. Talk about last weekend's win over South Carolina State as you claimed an early lead and then relied on some big plays by your defense down the stretch to seal the win.
Well, very proud of our kids. We had to kind of change our schedule a little bit with the closure. On 9-5, we actually had to leave on Thursday. Excuse me, kind of break the trip up a little bit. The guys handled the adversity well. Went down and played. I think South Carolina State is one of the toughest players to play in our conference, and we jumped out to an early lead, and they fought back in the second half, and we were able to make some plays down the stretch to seal the game. So it wasn't a conference game, but it was a conference game in our eyes, and very fortunate to be able to get a road win.
And offensively, you put up 400-plus yards, and your defense answered with 4 sacks and 4-plus sacks. And also, you got a strong performance on special teams. Just talk about the play you received on all 3 units of your team.
Well, we think it's one of the first times since we've been here as a group that all three phases have played well. Defensively, those guys, with the exception of one long touchdown pass, played probably as well as they could possibly play. Offensively, to be able to have 400 yards is great, but when you only get 17 points out of it, it makes you feel like there were some points left out there. But you have to credit South Carolina State for turning the ball over on us twice and making some plays on defense. But special teams wise, I thought our kicking game was much improved. The punter punted well. The place kicker kicked the ball well and did a good job on kickoff. So we've got to continue to do those things, and if you can play well in all 3 phases, you give yourself an opportunity to win.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone keypad. We have a question from the line of Ty Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Coach, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. A lot of good things about the win, especially going down to South Carolina State and beating Buddy Pough on his own field. What, if anything, did you take from the game that your team needs to work on going forward?
Well, we didn't play very well in the second half. We came out, played as well as we could possibly play for the first 2 quarters, and offensively, we didn't come out with the same spark in the second half, and it almost cost us. But I think it's just us continuing to learn how to be consistent and being able to produce and put a complete game together.
Coach Milstead talked about the importance of his team winning the line of scrimmage, this weekend in order to beat your team. Is that a point of emphasis for your team as well?
Well, I think it's a point of emphasis for everybody every week. Obviously, we like to run the football here, and we've had some success running the football here. If we can run the ball, it definitely makes our game flow better. And defensively, we pride ourselves on being able to stop the run. So, those are 2 big points of emphasis, in our weekly game plans on both sides of the ball.
If you look at their record 0-3, on paper, it's like a team that's not going anywhere. But what concerns you most about Delaware State?
Well, I understand where Rod is. I've been there, and one thing I know about the Meac is that these kids come to play week in, week out. They're playing light competition now. They played 2 BCS programs or 2 FBS programs, and they weren't outclassed. They've got a 2-quarterback system. One of their quarterbacks is really, really athletic, and they've done a good job moving the ball up and down the field. They haven't put a ton of points on the board, but they've got athletes on both sides of the ball, and they can get stops on defense. And as I said, nice running back, nice quarterback, wide receivers that can make plays. So it's a team that's improving weekly. We just don't want to have them improve too much when they get here next Saturday.
Coach, what kind of eyebrows were raised on campus and among the administration when your team knocked off South Carolina State on the road?
We have a great buzz here on campus right now. It kind of started with the Virginia State game at the Labor Day Classic. Our fans and our alumni and our student section have been tremendous. The reception that the kids are getting on campus. Our student government has made it a point to support athletics, and they've done a tremendous job, and our administration is doing the same thing. So there's a great buzz on campus now, and the kids are starting to get a great home game atmosphere. And when you win and you have success, that happens. So it's our job, to continue playing hard and playing well, and giving ourselves the opportunity to win to make our fans and alumni proud.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
There are no further questions at this time.
Coach, and before we close out, just talk about your defense as you lead the Meac in several categories, and just talk about the unit and the work they put in to be in that position so far.
Well, Matt Dawson and our defensive staff do a tremendous job of emphasizing fundamentals and making sure that things we're doing are sound, and the guys are in the right positions. And we've got some guys that have played in some games around here, and that helps. When you see the defensive line being able to stop the run, and the secondary playing well, things are coordinated well, and the kids are playing hard, and they're continuing to find ways to generate turnovers. And that's what makes a productive defensive unit. We rely heavily on those guys, and we're very proud of how well they're playing right now.
Coach, thanks again for speaking with us, and we'll definitely talk with you next week. And good luck as you return home to take on Delaware State.
Thank you, man. Take care.
You too. Norfolk State is home this weekend versus the Hornets of Delaware State. Kickoff is set for 4 p.m. and the game will be streamed live on ESPN3. We are now joined by Savannah State University head coach Erik Raeburn. Savannah State dropped a hard-fought contest at Florida A&M last weekend and will return home for the first time this season as they'll face Bethune-Cookman on Saturday. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning.
Coach, recap last weekend's game at Florida A&M as it pretty much came down to the third quarter.
Yeah, I thought we played a good first half, particularly on defense, and went into halftime 7-3, but feeling good about the effort that we gave in that first half, and then unfortunately, I think from about 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter, they scored 28 points, and we only managed 6. So it was disappointing the way we finished the game, and not playing the whole 60 minutes. But I guess encouraged that that we showed some good things in that first half. But disappointed that we didn't play a full 60 minutes.
Well, against Florida A&M, you outgained the Rattlers on offense. You made several plays on defense. So just talk about the confidence game going into this week's game versus Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, obviously, we felt like one of the things that really killed us last Saturday, as you mentioned, we outgained them yard-wise. But we felt like the penalties, I think we had 165 yards in penalties, that you can't win football games doing that. And then, special teams was poor as well. So as we're getting ready to play, really good Bethune-Cookman team, man, you see how excellent they've been on special teams. Two kickoff returns for touchdowns last week. So certainly that has us concerned, because if we don't play better on special teams, than we did this past week, we won't have much of a chance.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from Ty Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Coach, I'm not sure if you've listened all morning. First of all, good morning to you.
Good morning.
There were some that we discussed, FAMU's running back, Bishop Bonnet. Can you give us your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I thought he was, really explosive guy. Their first touchdown in the second half was about a 5-yard pass to him, and man, he once he got in the open field, he made our safety miss, and then had too much speed, we couldn't catch him. So I was impressed with him. Thought he was electric. He did the same thing on a couple runs where he made a guy miss, and then when he got in the open field, just ran away from us. So he's an explosive guy for sure. And if you don't get some bodies around him and get him caged in, he's going to rattle off some big plays, not just in the run game, but in the pass game as well.
Coach, your two quarterbacks, Gibbons and Bell, are you going to continue to rotate them? And if so, does it mean that neither one really sticks out to the point that they're going to be the bona fide starter?
Yeah, I guess that's what it comes down for us right now is, neither one of us playing terrible football, but neither one of them is just totally outplaying the other one. So right now we'll probably play them both again, just because neither guy has really separated himself from the other. So ideally, ideally we'd love for them both to be playing great, but I guess our second choice would be for one of them to kind of emerge as the guy. But so far it just hasn't happened. So if that remains the case, we'll just continue to rotate them. But if one guy gets a hot hand and starts outperforming the other guy, certainly we'll go with that guy and give him all the reps. But through these first 3 football games, if you look at all of our practice film and then the games, they've graded out about the same, each week, and so we feel like we got to keep them both in there playing.
Coach, you had UAB, Miami, FAMU, and in some sort of way it could be considered that this is your real second game. So in terms of, if you looked at those other 2 as preseason games, so to speak, do you expect to see much more improvement during this game against Bethune-Cookman than you saw last week against FAMU?
I hope so. Certainly hopefully the penalties, that's pretty uncharacteristic of us. I think last year we were either the least penalized team in the conference or the second least penalized team in the conference, and this past week, we had 163 yards in penalties, or 162 yards in penalties. So, hopefully that's, hopefully that was just the emotion of getting to play a, Meac game finally after, 2 tough FBS opponents, and we got a little too excited, and lost our focus a little bit. But so hopefully that'll improve, and then we're because of some of the injuries in those first 2 games, and it's because we're a young team. We're playing a lot of young guys, and so we certainly hope that as they get more games under their belt, they'll start relaxing a little bit and playing better as well. So we hope to see we hope to see a big improvement from last week to this week.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
There are no further questions at this time.
Coach, before we close out, talk about playing at home for the first time this season after being on the road for your first 3 games, and then also last time you played Bethune-Cookman at home, you came out with a victory, but just talk about playing a tough BCU team and the emotions of playing at home.
Yeah, obviously we're grateful to play at home. We've had some, brutal road trips, and where you're not getting back till 5, 6 in the morning on Sunday, and it's draining. So to be able to play a game at home for the first time this season, I think everybody's looking forward to that. And then obviously I've been super impressed with Bethune-Cookman. I think defensively they are really good. They got good players at all three levels, and their DNs, those guys are both incredible athletes. So we have struggled against them the last 2 years. Obviously we beat them in 2016, but it was really a defensive battle. We didn't score very many points, and so defensively they've really dominated us the last 2 years, and so we're going to have to play a lot better offensively than what we have been doing. And then I think they have a lot of weapons on offense and a big physical offensive line. So we'll have our hands full for sure, but we are thankful to finally get to play a game at home.
Well, Coach, take advantage of playing at home this time, and we'll definitely talk with you this time next week, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Savannah State is home for the first time this season. They'll face off against the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m. as the contest will be shown live on ESPN3. We'll now move up the road to Orangeburg, South Carolina, as we welcome in head coach Buddy Pough of South Carolina State. The Bulldogs will have a short week as they will travel to Greensboro, North Carolina to face off against North Carolina A&T live on ESPNU this Thursday night. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Coach, last week's game, there was some growth by your offense, and it basically came down to turnovers making a difference in the game. Just recap last week's game versus the Spartans of Norfolk State.
It did. We turned the football over a couple of times in some critical situations in the second half, and that kind of kept us from getting back in the game. We were down 14-0 at the half and hadn't done much offensively. We're still trying to find out, trying to figure out what we can do that way. Got back in the game sort of in the second half and got it down close to the end zone to tie the game up, and we fumbled the football, I think, inside the 5-yard line, and then they got it. And the most disappointing part of the game, I guess, for us was probably that that our defense allowed them to get back down the field and kick a field goal that got them up by 2 scores, which at that point, it was pretty much a done deal. But we played somewhat better in the second half, but this is still a young team that's a work in progress. It's got a lot of work to do, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what we can do against a mad North Carolina A&T team this coming Thursday night in Greensboro.
And with it being a short week, and everyone knows what happened at A&T, just talk about putting what happened on your end, that game behind you, and trying to focus on a quick turnaround for a nationally televised game.
Well, I kind of think that it might be a good thing for both of us to have a quick turnaround that way, because you don't get a chance to brood very long over the loss that you just had in the previous game. So it gets us back in the swing of things, and it creates a sense of urgency that we got to get it done, really quickly. So we've been back into it, practicing for the last couple of days, and hopefully we'll be ready to go this coming Thursday night.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. Our first question comes from the line of Lute Williams with Black College Sports Page. Please proceed.
Good morning. Good morning, buddy. How are you today?
Fine, Lute. How are you?
Not bad. Hey, Coach, if you were not playing A&T this week, would you watch the film of them losing to Morgan State just as a way of finding out what somebody did to kind of knock off the Aggies who've been riding high prior to that?
Probably would. A&T has been such a good team in our league so far this year that that we were really surprised by the fact of the news that they had lost. I couldn't wait to see what Morgan had done to them.
Right.
The games I had seen in the previous weeks were, pretty spectacular on their part. So, it scares me twice. I play A&T this week and come back and we go to Morgan the next week on the road. So, I'm kind of figuring, we can beat this guy, we can beat that guy, that kind of stuff. Well, let me tell you, those kind of numbers kind of scare you a little bit where you don't know if you can beat each one of those guys. Morgan must be pretty good, huh?
Yeah, they played exceptionally well. They shut down a lot of things that A&T was trying to do, and then, Coach Broadway and Coach Washington echoes, those three things: protect the ball, kicking game, and stop the run. And Morgan almost won in all three of those categories, so it's going to be interesting. But you come in with a kind of similar profile. You and your guys are known for defense and holding teams down. Morgan did that. But I want to talk about your quarterback. Would you consider the performance Saturday, and maybe the second half performance particularly, was this a step forward for him in terms of him kind of getting control of the offense?
Let's hope so, huh? He did play somewhat better in the second half. I blame us. I blame our staff, for the slow start that way, and we've got to figure a way to get him going sooner in games in general. But yes, I thought he was a good bit better in the second half.
Is he a mobile guy? Because Coach Washington referred to how not only did Harris from Morgan State, kind of a mobile quarterback, play well against them, but mobile quarterbacks give anybody a hard time. But is Nick a mobile kind of guy?
He is. He does, beat you some with his feet and his athleticism that way. The general, I think, consensus with those kind of guys is that, they want to beat you that way. And a lot of times people try to make them beat them, with their arm and with progressions of sorts. But, we think he can do both. And, he's a young guy. He's been here all of about a year and a half now. And, we think that he's growing in a way where, he'll be to the point where he can do a little bit of both.
Good luck Thursday. See you then.
Thanks, Luke.
Our next question comes from the line of Carlton Green with Bulldog News and Audio. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Carlton. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You gave up 413 yards of total offense on last week's game. How do you propose of slowing A&T down this week?
You're exactly right. We couldn't get the football back from time to time. And, a large part of that was due to the fact that we couldn't get off the field on third down. So, that's our first order of business, to play better third down defense and to be able to, maybe control the football a little bit better on offense that way. You got two problems. Defense couldn't get off the field, and offense couldn't stay on. So we've got to work together, as a team, both offensively and defense, and maybe even a little bit in the kicking game to be able to limit some of the opportunities that that our opponents have been experiencing. You still there?
Our next question comes from the line of Jeff Mills with Greensboro News and Record. Please proceed.
Buddy, how are you today?
Fine, Jeff. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. I wanted to. You mentioned third down for your defense. A&T was just one for 12 on third down against Morgan State. Is there anything you can learn from watching that film to try to stop them on third down?
Well, let's hope so. I think Morgan did a nice job of mixing it up in third down and bringing a lot of pressure. I don't know if we've got the ability to do a lot of what Morgan did to A&T, and how much of it was a surprise to them too. So a lot of what they did last week, I'm sure, they'll do a better job of preparing for, at least having a little bit better idea that it might be coming, in this particular game. So, yeah, let's hope that we can figure out how to do some of the similar kind of things. But at the same time, we are who we are, and our personnel is what it is. So a lot of what these teams sometimes try to do doesn't necessarily fit our talent scheme.
You mentioned that it doesn't fit your talent scheme. How do you approach this A&T game? What's defensively? What's sort of the priority for you? Is it stopping the run? Is it containing Raynard? What's priority number one for y'all?
Yeah, well, you do everything you can to stop the run. I think in all of the different kinds of defensive objectives that you might have. The next thing is to do a good job of just being sound. Generally, what happens in most cases is a lot of the reason why you're successful or not successful is because of the basic fundamentals of the game. You don't tackle well. You don't leverage well. You don't do some of the kinds of things that you got to do to be a good sound defense that way. So, I don't know if it's got as much to do with scheme as it's got to do with the, with the people and the fundamentals of what they do.
Last one from me. Playing on Thursday night on national TV. What's that mean to y'all? What's a TV game mean for y'all?
Well, it means that we got to get ready to go in 2 days less than we ordinarily will get to prepare. And it used to be a big deal to be on TV. I think it's pretty regular now that we all play so much on television until it doesn't carry quite the same significance that it once did. But it's always fun to be one of the few teams that's playing in that particular window. People see us from all over the country. You get an opportunity to tell all your family and friends, our kids, that all their family and friends know, that we own ESPNU, in that time slot. So that's always a lot of fun. And then, of course, the benefit for our university, with the ability to be able to be seen all over the country is always a benefit.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Our next question comes from the line of Ty Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Ty. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Can you provide some clarification as to why this past weekend's game was not a conference game?
I think I can. I don't know if I want to. One of the things that happened when we lost Hampton out of our league was that we had to kind of fill that schedule in for those conference teams that had them on their schedule. And the date that Norfolk had, the date that we are using was a non-conference game that we needed to fill in, that ordinarily one of our schools would have been playing against Hampton. So we actually needed 8 games, I think, or 7 games, whatever the number of games that Hampton had, that we could kind of use, some of our own teams in the league as non-conference teams. So technically, last year we played 8 games apiece. We played 8 conference games apiece. This year we only played 7. And then what happens is the games that we've used to kind of patch up the difference, we put in as non-conference games. So some of us may have 9 conference games, and some of us may have 8. Some of us may have 7. So in order to make it all work, then 7 is the number that I think actually fit. We played 9. I think we've got the 2 games that we played against Central Florida and Georgia Southern. From that point on, then all the rest of the games that we play are actually MEAC games. So we play everybody now that's left. The only difference is that some of the teams in our league only play 7. So you couldn't match up the same number of games, that way. So what they did was they made a couple games non-conference games, and at that point, then each of us actually have 7 counting games that we use in our conference standards. Does that make any sense?
It's a lot of stuff, but it does make sense. That it's the Hampton factor, and I guess in a strange way too. Although you lost, it could kind of work in your favor if things worked out for your team going down the stretch.
You know what? I didn't even recognize until I saw our game notes that the A&T Morgan game was also a non-counter. So, yeah, it makes a big difference in the whole scheme of things. And it also allows us to continue to be undefeated in the league. We hadn't won a game either, but yeah, it does make a difference that way.
All right, Coach. Thank you and good luck this weekend. One final question, though. This game has normally been near the end of the season, so any concerns about taking on your rival in the Aggie Eagles? The Aggie Bulldog Classic this early in the season?
Yeah. We got to fix that. I tell you, we are used to playing A&T towards the end of the year, and I think each team got an opportunity to choose a team that's supposedly sort of their rival. We're closer to Savannah than anybody else, so we end up ending our year, against those guys. And Central and A&T, I guess, makes sense that way. But it will be a lot more fun to play these guys later in the year. But I don't know if it works out that way, so we end up having to do it this way.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Ty.
Our next question comes from the line of Carlton Green with Bulldog News and Audio. Please proceed.
Coach, you had 60 yards in penalties. How do you plan on eliminate those penalties with a young team?
You know what? I was pleased at the end of the first half. I think we only had like one penalty for like 5 yards. And then we come in the second half and then we get some penalties that I was really, a little bit concerned about. But we talk about the fact that we want to do a good job of limiting the number of penalties per game. But the holdings and those kind of things sometimes, are ones that you sometimes just kind of have to live with. The procedural penalties are the ones that you really want to try to make sure. And the personal fouls are the ones that you really want to make sure, that you harp on and say a lot about. So, anytime we get a situation where someone gets an unsportsmanlike or something of that nature, then that's a pretty unforgivable kind of process. But at the same time, when a guy, is trying to, to block a guy, he hangs on a little bit too long or some of that kind of stuff, then, then we have a little more patience with that kind of situation.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Carlton.
There are no further questions at this time.
Coach Pough, thanks again for speaking with us this morning, and we'll look forward to talking with you next week, and good luck on Thursday night as you head down to Greensboro.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
You're welcome, Coach. South Carolina State will face off against North Carolina A&T this Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. The contest will be shown live on ESPNU. Now head down to Greensboro, North Carolina, as we will be joined by North Carolina A&T head coach Sam Washington. The Aggies will play South Carolina State this Thursday night on ESPNU at 7:30 p.m. Coach, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you, Ryan. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Coach. Sorry for the time, but when Commissioner walks in, everything takes priority from there.
Absolutely, I understand.
Yes, sir. Just recap last weekend's game, and it was a hard-fought contest on both sides, and it just came down to a last-second field goal.
Yeah, I do think, we both played hard, but we didn't play well. Offensively, I thought we struggled, and I thought Coach Jones and the staff did a very good job in causing some of the problems that we had. The 2 turnovers was big. The time of possession was ridiculous in the third quarter. I think they had the ball 11 minutes, and we only had it 4. And that's when the turnovers occurred, which kept them on the field. Another stat that stands out is we were 1 for 12 on third down, and it's very difficult to be successful when you have those kind of numbers. Defensively, I thought we played decent, but could have played, better. If they don't score, you don't lose, and that's my philosophy, and I'm gonna live and die with that one. And so, we could have done some things differently on defense, better. But I tell you what, that field goal kicker was amazing. He went out there with a bunch of confidence, and he kicked that ball very well. He had 10 more yards to spare. So the long one was a 51, and possibly could have gone 60. And I thought that was very impressive, especially in our conference. I've never seen nothing like it.
Well, thank you, Coach, and we'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from the line of Carlton Green with Bulldog News and Audio. Please proceed.
Coach Washington, as you know, this has always been a rivalry game ever since the two schools met in the conference. What do you think about it?
Which game are you referring to?
The South Carolina State.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It has been, and it's a cross-state rivalry, and it's a hard ball game every year. Coach Pough does a fantastic job, and always have, and we don't expect anything different. They come to play, so we got to put our best foot forward and be ready for those guys when they get here.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Lute Williams with Black College Sports Page. Please proceed.
Hey, Sam. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Lute. How are you?
All right. I get a chance to ask you this yesterday at the press conference, and you may have touched on it, but which one concerned you more coming out of that game, the lack of production in your offense or the fact that your defense gave up the kind of things that they did that allowed them to pull out their win?
Well, they both hurt. I don't think one hurt no more than the other. But we have to be more productive on offense, to be successful. And it is what it is. And 1 for 12 again on third down is not acceptable.
A lot of times, Coach, we from the media and fans and whatnot, we don't even see how much difference the line play makes. And I know you lost Brandon Parker, you lost a couple of other starters on the offensive line. How much has offensive line play factored into the fact that Raynard and the offense have struggled?
Well, the last couple ball games, I don't think I thought they played well. Now, I think that showed up the first two ball games where we really were outclassed up front. Those kids they had at Jacksonville State was very difficult to block for anybody, not only us. Everybody going to have problems blocking those kids. But I thought we got a hat on the hat these last two ball games and did a pretty good job, up front. The line play is not bad.
Okay.
We have other issues.
How important is it going to be for Raynard to bounce back after struggling? Not had the kind of success that he's had previously. How important is it going to be for him to bounce back and kind of be the Raynard that we've been accustomed to seeing?
Well, it's important not only to him but to this football program that he get on task and get back to himself. And he's been battling some issues, and hopefully those are resolved now, and he'll be able to get back to playing his level of play.
You talking about physical issues or beyond just physical issues?
Yeah, the physicals. The one was the hand issue, and then the kidney stones.
That's right.
Yeah, that's difficult. I promise, I've had them.
Yeah, I have too, man. I have too.
That's the problem.
Good luck on Thursday.
All right, thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Ty Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Coach Washington, good morning to you.
How you doing, Ty? Thank you.
I'm good, Coach. During last week's press conference on Tuesday, you mentioned that Morgan State was the best 0-3 team you have seen. So, for us media types, I guess we should take what you tell us to heart from now on, right?
I promise you. I saw it clearly that they would be a very capable team. You definitely can't bring your B game to beat them. You're going to have to be at your best. And unfortunately, we were not. We didn't play well.
And you fall into the same situation this week with South Carolina State, Coach. So when you assess what Buddy Pough has, he has a young team, of course, and they've been slow to get on track. But give us your overall thoughts on their team. Coach
Pough always have a very good team. They are inexperienced and not quite as polished as Morgan yet. But on any given Saturday or night, whether it's Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday, they are capable of beating you. So we must understand that, and we got to play at a very high level to beat them.
Coach, if there is any consolation for losing last week, it's a way to reset your team in one respect, but also in terms of conference standings, with what the commissioner just explained about, how the conference is set up this year in terms of those games that are designated non-conference games. Could that be do you see that as a plus for your team heading into this game and sort of like a restart?
Absolutely. It's the luck of the draw. We really got lucky in that regard, and thankful and grateful for that. But the fact that we lost, still remains. Now, it only benefits us if we learn from it. We use it as a learning tool and find out, what we didn't do well and the reason or the reasons that we didn't do them well and address those, and then, we can get something from the loss. So that's our aim. And look forward to redeeming ourselves on Thursday night.
And, Coach, finally, I want to ask you about the fact that this game is normally like around Thanksgiving, like the end of the season almost, in terms of conference regular season play. Is it kind of strange to be taking on South Carolina State this early in the season?
Absolutely. And I would prefer to play at the end of the season. I do have a preference. I would like to polish up real good before I meet one of Coach Pough teams, and so unfortunately, it is what it is, and we have to play on Thursday.
All right, Coach, thank you. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Carlton Green with Bulldog News and Audio. Please proceed.
Coach, how's the psyche of your team since your loss on Saturday?
Well, of course, it's tough, to put those kind of defeats behind you, but it's a necessity now. Since it's such a short week, we had no choice. So we had to brush that one off and start preparing for a very capable South Carolina State.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
There are no further questions at this time.
Thank you, Coach Washington, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again next week, and good luck as you prepare for South Carolina State on Thursday night.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ryan.
You're welcome. North Carolina A&T State returns to action this Thursday night in Greensboro. Kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m., and the contest versus South Carolina State will be streamed on Watch ESPN and shown live on ESPNU. We're now joined by North Carolina Central head coach Granville Eastman. The Eagles returned to action last week at Duke and will start conference play on Saturday as they will host Florida A&M. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, Ryan. Great to be on with you guys. How are you?
Good. Good to hear from you, Coach. Coach, just talk about your return to the field last weekend after the unexpected week off, and just talk about the contest versus Duke overall.
Well, just it was really just getting the young men refocused back on being in school, getting down to business academically, and of course, Duke is it's a inner city, it's a city rival, crosstown rival type thing, or it hasn't been much of a rival, but game. And so a lot of these guys know some of the other young men, either from just being in the area or being a high school all-star teams together, things like that. So getting them somewhat, prepared to play, was not a big challenge. Thought they were really focused. Thought they gave a really good, tremendous effort. We were able to play a lot of guys and get some experience, and so now it's time to get into conference play.
And speaking of conference play, just before you jump in and discuss FAM, just talk about what did you learn from your team that you didn't factor in during your non-conference slate?
Well, just learn that they're committed to the cause. They just have to continue to grow up and mature and stay together. I thought what they showed was a really a will to really play for one another. I saw that not just in the first half when we were able to kind of keep things close, but even towards the end of the game, they were playing hard for one another against a much superior opponent, and that gave me joy, and that really left me positive, going forward.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. Our first question comes from the line of Melvin Beal with Inside Sports. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Melvin. Doing fine. How are you?
I'm well. Florida A&M, new coach, new system. What are your thoughts on the Rattlers offensively and defensively?
Well, Coach Simmons, they're just getting going offensively. I've had a chance to watch quite a bit of their defensive tape. Offensive tape over the last couple of days. And I like what he's doing with getting various playmakers involved in touching the ball, whether that be by some kind of design run or some kind of pass or some kind of specific route downfield. What Coach Simmons is doing is whether you're a running back or a receiver or whatnot, he's got ways of getting his playmakers touches, as we like to say. And so we're going to have our work cut out for us in that particular area, because now you can't key on any one particular person. And so that's going to be challenging. Defensively, they're just a very tough team. They play hard. They get off the football. They'll rally to the football. That's going to be nothing different than what we've seen in the past. And every time that these two teams get together, it's always a tough ball game that's won, and usually in the fourth quarter. Certainly in my time here, I don't expect anything different.
Talk a little bit about what you expect from their special teams. They got some big plays from their special teams last week.
Well, I think, again, it's just getting athletes and chance to get their hands on the ball in space. We talked about special teams being a big part for us as well, playing a big part as well. And we know we have to win that third of the game in order to have a chance to have success. We're just going to have to be very purposeful about, where we're kicking the ball, who we're kicking it to, and things like that. Some situations we may not be able to control, and our kids are just going to have to give tremendous effort and get the job done. Whoever he puts back there, those guys are all dangerous to me, and so we're just going to have to be very, very spot on in terms of where we're kicking it, how high we're kicking it, how short we're kicking it, those sort of things.
Okay, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Our next question comes from the line of Ty Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach Eastman, good morning to you.
Good morning.
A couple of follow-up things on the Duke game. First of all, you had to feel good about the first half, although it was 27-13. And the other thing about the game, which might be a strange stat to some, but the fact that your team committed no turnovers, was that something to be proud of?
Very, very. And so we spoke about it after we met on Sunday. We have a usual team meeting, and I just kind of identified and highlighted some of the high points, and that was one of them. That's something to build on. We're trying to, pride ourselves on a team that does not beat themselves. and every week we talk about being careful with the football in special teams and on offense and handling the ball, making good decisions. And so it was that was very good to see that stat show up the way it did. Also pleased with our kids on defense. On third down and fourth down, Duke had owned us in the past, being 70%, 80% or higher. And, I thought we did some good things there as well defensively that we had not been able to do in the past as far as getting off the field. And so we were able to highlight that as well.
How did your team fare injury-wise? Because a lot of times in those games against the FBS opponents, there are injuries. Did your team suffer any significant injuries?
Right. Well, no significant injuries that I've been told. But, when you play Duke, and we warned them all week long, it's going to be a physical football game. That's the one thing about Coach Cutcliffe and what they do. They they force you. You can't run. It's going to be a tough physical, a lot of run, a lot of play action. Even on their perimeter pass games, there's going to be physical blocking out there. So we knew we were in for a physical football game. That's what it was. But thank goodness we came out, and it looks like everyone's going to be all right.
And with the 3 games you've played so far, Coach, has it really prepared you for the Meac grind that's about to start?
Well, you hope so, but you never know. And I think that's the biggest thing we're going to have to be able to communicate to our players for this week is that conference play is a whole different animal. There's just a lot more pride, a lot more passion. Everyone knows what is at stake, and everyone's got a bullseye. You cannot take anyone for granted. I overheard Coach Washington talk about it can be any given day or any given night now, and so you hope that the non-conference games has prepared you. Certainly, we've got a lot of young men work, but we've got a lot of them repetition and experience, and you'd like to think that's going to pay off. But the intensity, the pride, everything now is going to increase probably tenfold going into conference play, and that's what the young men have to understand.
And finally, Coach, for the most part, will you continue with the 2-quarterback system with Ramadan and Caldwell?
Well, those guys are being evaluated every day, and we think there's an added advantage to that, and so we're going forward in that regard. We always reserve the right if one's harder than the other or can do some things, he might play a little bit more. But as of right now, that's the road we're going down. Yes, sir.
And Coach, also on that same note, in the past, a lot of people used to say, whether right or wrong, that if you had 2 quarterbacks, you had none. But if you look across the country right now, a lot of teams, even the FBS schools, are playing 2 quarterbacks.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. I think that thought, that old thought, came from the NFL, which still exists today, that there could only really be one solid guy. But in college football, that's not it at all. You see it at Alabama, though I think they found their one. And I know this as a defensive guy. If I've got to prepare for 2 quarterbacks that bring certain different skill sets, now I have to prepare for more. And I have to, now the young man on defense, we have to teach them a lot more than we would want to, in fear of overload. And so that's got to present some challenges from the defensive standpoint. And again, if it makes us better, makes us much more multiple, much more flexible, then it's good to have. I think that's why you're seeing it with other college teams as well.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Lute Williams with Black College Sports Page. Please proceed.
Yeah, Ty kind of asked my question. I wanted to know which one you were going to start without giving away any secrets, Ramadan or Caldwell. But I looked at the stats, Coach, and you've only turned the ball over twice this whole season. What do you feel about that?
Well, I feel great. You're pointing something that I hadn't really, I did not know. I knew we did not turn over versus Duke. And as I was saying earlier, we're trying to pride ourselves on one of those teams that has good discipline, and we just don't beat ourselves. And I think if you have those things or those characteristics of a football team, then you're going to be in most football games. You may not necessarily win them all, but you will have a chance to win them. We're trying to correct or curb the self-inflicted wounds. Turnovers is a big part of that, and I'm really proud of our offense and Coach Taylor and what those guys are doing right now in terms of holding on to the football, making good decisions, taking care of the football. We've got to continue in that direction if we plan on having any kind of success.
I said 2 turnovers, but actually it's only 1. I think you have 1 interception. You've not lost any fumbles. But going back to the quarterback situation, I know you went with Nail to start this past game against Duke. How did he play against Duke? And what is it a week-to-week thing in terms of who will actually go out there first?
It is a week-to-week thing. So, these young men are being evaluated. There really is there's 2 or 3 of them that are being evaluated every day. And normally by Thursday we have a pretty good idea in terms of what we want to do, how we want to start off, and how we want to attack the opposing defense. Whoever gives us the best opportunity to get going that way based on his evaluation on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that guy pretty much gets the nod. And so we're going to continue down that road, to continue to evaluate, all our quarterbacks in practice. And so we have competition, as far as, who's going to start and who may play more than the other. I think it keeps everybody sharp and lets them know that there is no easy way through this. And ultimately, I believe it's going to help us get better.
Isaiah ran the ball, it appears, very well against Duke. What do you attribute that to? Is it improved line play? What was the reason why he was able to put up those kind of numbers?
Well, I think he hit on it. It was certainly line play. There towards the end, we kind of got a little banged up. Those guys from Duke started imposing their will on us, and just made sense to get 1 or 2 linemen out of the game before bad things happen. But while the O-line was fresh and could really go at a solid rate, you saw we were able to create some creases and things like that. And Isaiah Totten is the kind of back you want back there for that. It doesn't take him long to find it and hit it, and then before you know it, he's in the second level. And I think Coach O, Onibayaju, is doing a real good job of developing the chemistry with our starting 5. I think they're starting to understand, some of our just simple run plays, and thankfully they were able to demonstrate that a little bit on Saturday.
And lastly, Coach, what's the difference in the Ryan Stanley and FAMU offense from last year as opposed to what the new coach has brought in terms of what Ryan Stanley and the offense does now?
Well, I think you see Coach Willie's stamp on it. It's definitely his offense. He's got a lot more motion going on. I think that he's trying to throw the ball. He's having Stanley being able to distribute the ball in many different places, not just downfield, but horizontally as well. I think they're throwing the ball much more horizontally as they ever have been throwing it, downfield. And, Stanley's still that gunslinger. I think ultimately the decisions are still in his hands, and being a creature of habit, he's going to throw the ball downfield when he has those chances. But I think where you see Coach Simmons' differences in the different motions they have now, and really spreading the ball around to different playmakers. I give him credit. He's been able to get that stuff in pretty quickly. And I'm impressed, and they're only going to get better.
And that game last year against FAMU was very critical in terms of your season as well as their season. What other kind of differences have you seen with the new FAMU, even on defense or beyond just what they do offensively with Stanley?
I just think they have a little bit more of a swagger, more of a confidence. You look at those guys. I've been going on now for 5 years in the conference, the league. Stanley's been around about that same time. Devin Bowers, Chad Hunter, some of his playmakers have kind of been around. So there's a chemistry there, and there's no doubt that Coach Simmons has brought some of his, his blueprint to that. But there's some more confidence. The little back, I call him the little back, but he can really scoot. Number 13, Bishop Bonnet. You see him coming into his own now. He's a little bit stronger than when he was as a freshman. Really explosive. They've got some swing plays, some wheel plays for him out of the backfield. I think the fact that all those guys are just another year older with a new system that distributes the ball and to more playmakers, there's a certain swagger that's coming with that. Defensively, they're just a team that plays hard. They give us a tough time no matter where it is, whether it's in Durham or Tallahassee. They play hard. We're really similar defensively. We like to think that when it comes to these two teams, it's just an aggressive football game and no one backs down.
So, in a sense, it's going to be a good measure of where you are so far this year.
I think for both teams, absolutely. You know, they've had one conference game with Savannah, but no doubt we get to see here. This is going to be the litmus test, so to speak. And if we're not ready to, if we're not prepared or ready to play, we can find ourselves in a bad situation, you know, real quick.
Good luck with your preparation and good luck on Saturday, Coach.
Thank you very much.
There are no further questions at this time.
Coach Eastman, thanks again for speaking with us this morning, and good luck as you prepare to host Florida A&M on Saturday.
Thank you very much for having me on. Have a great day.
You're welcome, and you have one too, Coach. North Carolina Central will face Florida A&M this Saturday at 4 p.m. The contest will be shown live on ESPN3. We will close out this morning's teleconference with our final head coach in Ernest Jones of Morgan State University. The Bears knocked off North Carolina A&T State last weekend and will have the weekend off. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Well, Coach, last week you told us to watch out and look out for the type of team in Morgan State that would show up to Greensboro, and that team did just that. They showed up and they put out the victory. Talk about last Saturday's game at North Carolina A&T.
Oh, man, what a great game that was for us, for our team, for our program. Again, you know, we went in knowing we were playing the number one football team in the country, and we knew what it would take to go down there and beat a team like that in their place. But what we told our team was that we want you to get better from week 3 to week 4, and that's all we concentrated on was getting better. And us, you know, being true to our identity. We wanted to run the football, and running the football versus the number one run defense in the conference, one of the top run defenses in the nation, but we were going to do it. We were going to hold true to it. We knew that if they were going to beat us, they were going to have to stop us from running the football. And we were going to be aggressive on defense and make the quarterback get the football out of his hand, which is who we are. That's part of our identity. So it felt good for us as a team, as a program, to hold true to our identity while playing a team of that caliber.
And looking at the game, your running back, Joshua Chase, as the game went on, it seemed like he got stronger as time went on. Just talk about Joshua Chase and his play in the clutch this past weekend.
Yeah, we like Josh. I mean, all of our backs are 200-pound backs. We like big backs. We like guys who can run between the tackles, run downhill, run hard, be tough, be physical. Again, we're not trying to finesse anybody. We're just trying to get 2 or 3 yards every time we carry the football, and that's what Josh does. And every once in a while, he'll go 5 or 6 yards or 10 or 11 yards. So he's just getting better and better each week as he's getting used to carrying the ball as much as he has to carry it and understanding what we're trying to do with the run game. It's still a fit between him and our offensive linemen as they continue to grow and understand each other.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the call for questions from the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from the line of Luke Williams with Black College Sports Page. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach. Congratulations on the big win.
Good morning, Luke. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
What do you think was was there a turning point in the game from your standpoint in terms of, you know, what the most critical point of the game was? I think most people thought when A&T blocked that kick that the momentum had swung back in that direction. Was it the drive after that or any particular thing or even a group of things that you could point to that you would call maybe a turning point?
No, honestly, Luke, not to us. We don't look at it like that. The football game, a lot of things can happen in a football game. It's about how you respond to what happens. So we don't really see it that way. We know that we have a good football team, and we know that we have a football team that can respond no matter what happens. Our mantra is just put the ball down, and we'll be ready to play. So we were just happy that we were able to respond whenever the situation was. You know, the biggest thing for us was that putting our kicker in a situation to keep us in a football game, which is something we've been talking to him about since we got in front of him, and he did that. So that was probably the most positive thing that we took away from the game, that we got a kicker that can win a football game for us.
So prior to this game, there was a little talk in the press box about that. Prior to this game, he had not had a whole lot of success, but obviously you had enough confidence in him to put him out there for the 51-yarder as well as the game winner.
Yeah, I wouldn't say prior to this game, maybe prior to this season. You know, Morgan State hadn't had kicking woes for the last few years, but we've been pretty good kicking the football this year. We got two capable kickers. Both of them can kick. Alex and Nick, both of them are good. They both have a strong leg. They can both make all the kicks. We just so happen to throw Ray out there, and he got the kicks done. But we feel good about how we're kicking the football this season.
What's going to be the most critical thing for you in terms of the mentality of your team going forward? Obviously, it's a big win. And I got a chance to go back and read some of your interviews from when you took the job, talking about keep the eye on Morgan. What did you see in this team in terms of the personnel that you had that thought that you could maybe make this kind of impact so soon?
Well, because I've been around the team for a couple of years, I helped recruit a number of players on this team. I knew that we had capable players who could play here in this league, and what this team needed was to get an identity. Who are you? What do you stand for? What will you be good at? And I thought that once we tell them who they are and what they could be good at, that they'll be able to go play against anybody. We want to be a tough, physical football team. That's what we have to try to maintain throughout the rest of the season. Be true to ourselves and our identity, and we think we can play with anybody.
And let me ask you quickly, Coach, because I noticed the little pop-up tent, the little orange pop-up tent that you have on your sideline. How long have you been doing that, and is that just where you deal with players that might get hurt? How does that work?
Yeah, that's our medical tent. You know, I come from a Division I background, and everywhere I've been, we've had a medical tent, and we just want to get our players in a comfortable position where the doctors can look at them and the athletic trainers, and then I can go in there and have a talk with them, just to make sure that everything is going well without everybody taking a look at them. So that's really what it is. It's a medical tent to get our players secure, make sure nobody runs into them, on the sideline or anything like that. It's just a comfortable place where they can feel good about themselves. Our doctors can be comfortable, our medical staff, and then I get a chance to go in there and talk to them.
And that's the last thing is just what I said about what's going to be the critical thing going forward with this team in terms of maybe not getting too high or maybe not feeling too much of themselves after this particular win. What's the thing you have to focus on much, and who is your next opponent?
Well, I'll just say this. We were 1-10 a year ago, and this football team knows that. So there's no high here at Morgan State University. We don't have the right to say anything. We just won a football game. Our next opponent is South Carolina State in this homecoming, and we're preparing for South Carolina State. The North Carolina A&T game is over. It's done. We're not talking about it. That's over. That was 2 days ago. We're talking about South Carolina State now. We need to stay healthy. We need to continue to build our brand on who we are. And I'm going to keep telling you that because it's about us. It's about our identity. It's about being true to who we are, offensively and defensively, and then we'll be ready to go play a football game versus anybody. So that's what my challenge is, to keep these kids true to who they are and believing in what we're telling them as coaches and believing in themselves.
Good luck, Coach. Thanks for the answers. There's nobody else. I wanted to ask you about your quarterback, but I'll give somebody else a chance.
Yeah, you want me to answer it or no?
No. I've asked
okay.
enough. You probably have other people.
Yes, sir.
Our next question comes from the line of Ty Miller with Power News and Sports Radio Network. Please proceed.
Coach Jones, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ty. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. If you listen to you in terms of your comments and in terms of your emotion, you can't but help to think that your infectious style has been infused into your team. How much has that been a factor into their confidence that they have shown thus far this season?
I think it has a lot to do with it. You know, I'm a high-energy guy. I'm passionate about what I do. I love this game. I love the coaches who coach on the sideline with me, and I love the players who play the game with me. And I'm in front of them every day, and I'm just like this, so I can't make this stuff up. I believe in this coaching staff. I believe in myself, and I believe in these players. And all I'm doing is trying to help them to all believe in themselves. And that's what's happening right now. These guys believe that they can go get the job done. I'm telling them when they can do it. I'm telling them when they do it right. I'm telling them when they do it wrong. We're correcting it, and when they correct it and do it right, I tell them that. So it's a real time. We give it to them real time, exactly what it is. And I think as long as we can give it that evaluation to them like that and keep the energy positive. I believe in morale. I believe in high, positive morale. We're not negative at all. Not any of our coaches are negative, and not any of our players. We're going to tell them what we want them to do, and if they can't do it, teach them how to do it or put another guy out there. That's what they get every day here at Morgan State.
And, Coach, how has your FBS background, Luke mentioned the tents, and we've seen that pop up all over college football since it started down in Alabama a few years ago. How has your background, the little things that you've been infused into the program, how has that helped thus far?
Yes, sir, Todd. I think that it gives some credibility to who I am. The players know what my background is. We've talked about it. The administration understands and knows that. They put me in place. This is the type of guy they wanted with those experiences. But it helps with our team. They feel like they're at a Division I school. They don't feel like they're at a HBCU school, although in respect we know that we are. We don't feel like it's a 1AA program. We have everything that Maryland has. We have everything that Virginia Tech has. They may have more bells and more whistles and more colors, but anything that they need to be successful at the 1AA level, we have it. Exactly. We travel like they travel 1A. We dress like they dress 1A. We practice like they practice 1A. Everything we're doing is exactly like they do it at 1A. And then I have a couple transfers here. I got Corey Holmes here who came from Notre Dame, who's helping me a lot in the locker room, and he's telling them, he said, what we're doing here at Morgan is exactly what they're doing at Notre Dame. So that helps with the credibility piece.
And finally, Coach, despite last week's game not being a conference game, it still was a huge win that no one, and I know you're not talking about that anymore, but as you look towards South Carolina State, talk about the fact that you've already done something that no one else has done in a couple of years.
Yeah, well, to us, we're playing in Meac, the Meac conference, and every football team who plays in the Meac is a conference game to us. So in our mind, we won our first Meac game. We understand that it's not considered a conference game to the Meac, but to Morgan State University, to this football team, we just beat a Meac team and a very good Meac team. So we feel good about it. Now we're ready to go beat our second Meac team, or try to beat our second Meac team in South Carolina State. We know Buddy Pugh's going to bring a great team down here. They got after us a little bit a year ago, so we got to prepare. We know they can beat us because they've done it year after year, and we're just going to get ourselves ready to face Buddy Pough and South Carolina State.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck going ahead.
Thank you, sir. Time.
Our next question comes from the line of Lute Williams with Black College Sports Page. Please proceed.
If nobody else, I can ask you a couple more, Coach. Was the game against A&T kind of like a progression? How you played well against Albany State? Against Albany, didn't get a win, but battled them down to the wire. Did your team come in maybe with a little jolt of confidence coming off that loss to Albany?
Well, what our team did, and Lucas, what I've been saying is let's get better from week 1 to week 2. We did that. Let's get better from week 2 to week 3. We did that. Let's get better from week 3 to week 4. We went into the game saying let's be better than we was a week ago. And eventually, as we get better, they'll turn into W's. We didn't want to have to wait until 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks into the season before it turns into W. We eventually knew that if we continue to get better, we'll beat somebody, whoever that is. So it just so happened that it was North Carolina A&T. But all we're trying to do is get better each week.
Now, Coach Washington talked about that you showed some things on defense that they weren't expecting, so to speak, that you have been doing maybe a lot of blitzing, and you dropped back, or you showed blitz or showed some blitz looks and dropped back into coverage. Tell me about that strategy in terms of defensively, what kind of confused them or at least held them down the way that you did.
I mean, we have a great staff over there. You know, Coach Antonio James, who helps cause the defense with me, Coach Aaron Kelton and Logan Williams and Nate Ayers and Marcus Spearman. Those guys are really, really good football coaches. I went out and hired a great defensive staff. We came in here and watched the film, and we game planned, and we saw some things that we thought we could do and have some success versus this football team, and we did it. That's not any different than what we do each and every week. Whatever the game plan tells us to do to help us beat the team is what we'll do. So the game plan will differ each week according to the things that we notice as we game study.
Okay, and finally, this is about the quarterback. He made some very critical throws in those last two drives and really kept A&T off balance. Talk about his progression and how he's grown as a leader for your team, and particularly how he performed on Saturday.
Oh, man, DeAndre's having a great year. He's doing everything that we're asking him to do. He's our team captain, voted on by the team, so he's in the leadership position on the team. He's well respected. What we're doing is every week we bring him in the office and we say, what do you like? What feels good to you? So we're not calling plays according to what we like or what feels good to us. We're asking him, what feels good to you and what do you like? That's what's helping us have a little bit of success and helping him have some success. And then at the same time, we told him, you have to be a quarterback who can run with the football. You have to be tough. You can't be afraid to get hit, get tackled, make that play. So you add that to him doing the things that he wants to do. That's why he's playing well. He's doing what we want him to do, which is run the ball, be physical, and then we'll allow him to do what he wants to do, which is throw the plays and run the plays that he wants to run and throw.
Again, Coach, thanks for the answers. Congratulations on the big win. Good luck going forward.
Luke, we sure appreciate it. Thank you.
There are no further questions at this time.
Coach, thanks again for joining us, and we'll look forward to speaking with you next week, and enjoy your time off and get ready for the game in 2 weeks against South Carolina State.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oregon State is off this weekend, and they will return to action on Saturday, October 6th, as they'll host South Carolina State for homecoming. We have Meac Commissioner Dr. Dennis Thomas will offer some insight on our non-conference and conference scheduling format.
Thank you very much, Mr. McGinney. Good morning, everyone. And I want to thank Coach Pough for giving some accurate insights into why certain conference teams' games does not count. I want to add more clarity and accuracy to this. Number one is we normally have played an 8-game conference schedule. And for the 2018 season, with the Hampton leaving the conference and the open date that was presented on the conference schedule, with that departure, most of our institutions elected to fill those open dates with conference members. So the conference decided to have a 7-game conference schedule. And the games that does not count towards the conference championship, the Howard Savannah State game, which was postponed due to Hurricane Florence. Also the Morgan A&T game, the Norfolk South Carolina State game, as mentioned. The next conference game that will not count will be the FAMU South Carolina State game on November the 10th. And then the South Carolina State Florida A&M game on November the 10th as well. So that's the reason why that not all the conference team that play each other will count toward the championship. We are playing a 7-game conference game schedule this year, but next year we will play 8-game schedule next year. So that's the reason why that we've had some conversations from the media and fans trying to understand why all the games when our conference teams play each other, some does not count towards the championship. I would like to open it up if anybody have any additional questions. Again, I want to say that Coach Pough did an excellent job in explaining it, and I just wanted to add more clarity and accuracy to this conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, to register a question, please press the 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from Lute Williams from Black College Sports Page. Please proceed.
Hey, Commissioner, thanks so much for that clarification, because those of us who do the schedules on a week-to-week basis were really trying to figure it out. But two things you said I want to make sure I got straight. You mentioned Howard, Savannah State, Morgan State, A&T, Norfolk, South Carolina State, which have already been played. Then you mentioned FAMU, South Carolina State. You said that twice on November 10th. Was there a second game on November 10th other than the FAMU, South Carolina State game on November 10th?
No, it's just one game.
Okay. And then you said next year you're going to go to a 9-game schedule. You have 10 teams in the conference. Everybody's going to play everybody else. You're going to play a 9-game schedule that's going to count for the conference record, or an 8-game?
No. 8-game schedule. I made the correction,
okay.
Lou, but obviously you didn't hear it. It's an 8-game schedule.
Okay, the 8-game schedule next year. Okay, thanks so much for that clarification. That was I was chiming in to ask Ryan that question, but thanks for coming on and clearing it up for us.
All right, you're welcome.
Our next question comes from the line of Carlton Green with Bulldog News and Audio. Please proceed.
Coach Thomas, do you plan on adding another team to the conference?
Yes, we do. We've always been in the mode since I've been commissioner for 16 years of researching and identifying possible additional members. As you might recall, we added, during my tenure, we added Winston-Salem State to the conference, and as you know, they decided to go back to Division II on the last year of their reclassification. We added North Carolina Central to our conference as well, and we added Savannah State. So we're always in a mode of looking at adding additional teams. Plus, we are interested in adding institutions with football. So that's part of our long-range and strategic plan to add football-playing institutions. So that's where we are at this point in time. Obviously, we want teams that academically has a fit, athletically has a fit, geographically has a fit for our membership. So we're always in that mode.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
We have a question from the line of Melvin Beal with Inside Sports. Please proceed.
Hello, Commissioner. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm well. Is there a scenario where in these non-conference games, in case of a tie, are they going to be involved in any way, or do you just stay with your normal tie-breaking procedures in case there's a tie in the conference?
The normal tie-breaking procedures will remain in place.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a question from the line of Kenyatta Cavill with Dr. Cavill's HBCU Sports Lab. Please proceed.
Yes, Dr. Thomas, I respectfully withdraw my question. With the previous question, my question was answered. Thank you for your time and providing that clarity.
You're welcome, and thanks for being on the call as well.